What's good? Welcome to the What's Good Games podcast. I'm Andrea Renee, back from Europe to talk about video games with my lovely friends Brittany Brombacher.
Hello.
And Christine Steimer.
Hi.
Ladies, how are you? How's it going? I missed you. I feel like I haven't seen you in so long.
We missed you too.
We missed you. How the hell was Europe?
It was hot. It was very hot. It was like 95 degrees every day, which was great when we were in the ocean. But when we were walking around Rome, seeing all of the awesome historical stuff that Rome has to offer, and there is a ton of stuff there. It was a little uncomfortable, but it was great. It was really fun and educational at the same time. So
that's why you just get a gelato to cool off every hour.
Yeah, we ate a lot of gelato. There are some photos on my Instagram and John's Instagram. If you guys are intrigued to see some of our food that we had in Italy, we ate quite a few amazing things there. But
food.
But you guys had Miss Mary Kish on the podcast last week. She was excellent.
Yeah, she was great.
I thought it was interesting to hear her talk about the indie games and how she got really fired up about people not wanting to pay what indie games are worth. I was like, yeah, Mary, you tell them.
Yes, she was very, very passionate about that. It was cool to see.
It was a different perspective, like one I hadn't really considered. I'm not really in with the indie scene, so I really appreciated that. It was like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no, she is. She made a very good point. A little bit of housekeeping. I want to say thank you to all of our patrons. If you support us on patreon.com/whatsgoodgames, we are incredibly grateful for your support. One of our flagship sponsors on Patreon, of course, is takethis.org. We ask you guys the same question every week. Did you know that 1 in 4 people in America deals with mental health issues? That's 25% of the population. So when you think about what that number means, 25%, that means technically one of the girls in What's Good Games is potentially dealing with mental health issues. Did you guys?
I mean, I have in the past. It's a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And not a thing to be ashamed of.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I'm a big supporter of therapy. I think it's fantastic, and I think more people should go, and there shouldn't be such a stigma attached to it.
Absolutely, because talking about mental health symptoms is the fastest way to find hope and healing. But the stigma of mental health issues, as we've been talking about, makes a lot of people feel like they have to suffer in silence, and we don't want you guys to feel that way. And Take This doesn't want you to feel that way either. They help by letting people know that it's okay to not be okay. And there's help. Visit takethis.org for stories from people like you and advice from mental health care experts and tips for how to help people that you love who might be struggling. Maybe you don't know they're struggling, or maybe you have an inkling that they're struggling. The best way to maybe broach that conversation is just say, hey, I heard about this site. Maybe you want to check it out on your own. And if you ever want to talk, I'm here for you. So take this. It's dangerous to go alone. Thank you so much to them and all the work that they do. Of course, if you guys are not subscribed to us on podcast services, it would help us out greatly if you could go to iTunes, go to Google Play, or wherever else you listen to podcasts, and subscribe, rate, leave us a review. Even if you guys watch our video on YouTube and you don't listen to the audio-only version, it would really help us out a lot if you could do that. So please, if you have a few spare minutes in your day. We also have our YouTube channel, which I just mentioned, youtube.com/whatsgoodgames. And on Twitter, we are whatsgood_games. Hey, Britt, I think you deserve a little shout out for being really awesome at running our social media accounts behind the scenes. Many people don't know that you're like pretty much one-man banding that.
It's what I love to do. You're all talking to me. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I love doing it.
You're kicking booty. And also a big thank you to one of our patrons, Professor Metal Gear, who sent us some mail at our mailbox. You can find that address on our website if you guys are inclined to send us something. And he sent us a Switch because Steimer was talking about how she didn't have one And now we have this awesome Nintendo Switch, so thank you so much for giving that to us. We're going to
I feel so guilty.
Why? Don't feel guilty.
Because I'm like, I wasn't talking about it to be like, send me a Switch, like that wasn't, it was just a story because I figured other people would relate because I'd heard other folks were also having issues getting one. And then I, got one immediately, so oops. But
we could send it.
But thank you. Like, that was super kind of you. And yeah, before I cut Andrea off rudely, I'm very sorry. She was talking about we were going to give it away for charity.
Yeah, no, we're planning to do some charity streams in the near future. We'll have more details on that once we get that all figured out. But we thought it would be a really fantastic item for us to hopefully donate or give away during one of our charity streams. So keep an eye out for that. That's coming down the pipeline. And Britt, you have some exciting news maybe that you could share about our new thing that we're doing at PAX.
Oh! I was like, where is this going?
I was like, I do. I assume, Miss Andrea, you're speaking of our panel.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay,
this is what you do, right? This is your thing?
Oh, yeah, and I got that from Alexa, honestly. So our panel will be Saturday of PAX. I believe it'll be around, I have it right here, ladies and gentlemen.
5 p.m. sounds correct to me.
Awesome. Thank you. You are right. You are correct, Steimer. Okay, yeah, so we have a panel, and we are going to be talking about the fun things we do while we play video games, in a sense. So just a brief recap, I walk on the treadmill while I play video games. Christine, I think you play in the bathtub?
No, that's not me.
Oh, who's
I don't play with fire like that.
Who plays in the bathtub? Is that Alexa?
I think it's
Alexa.
Oh, okay. And we're going to be talking a bit about what's good games, why we decided to do what we did, and all of that fun stuff. It'll be good times.
We will also be having a community meetup. We don't have the details nailed down quite yet, but if you are planning to be at PAX West in Seattle a little over a month from now, a month and like a week, we would love for you to come and meet up with us, and we will get those details to you guys in the next couple of weeks. So make sure to mark your calendars. If you're going to be at PAX, it's going to be that Saturday, which is September
2nd? Yeah, girl. Yes. September 2nd at the Hippogriff Theater.
That's the best theater.
It's going to be awesome.
Best named theater.
Yeah.
And you guys, I don't know if I mentioned, obviously Alexa Ray is not here. She's missing. She is back home with her family, doing some family stuff. And she will be rejoining us next week. It's going to be great. We're going to have the dream team all back together here at our studio. So we will also be doing our Patreon exclusive streams. If you guys want more details, we will be making a post about that on our Patreon page. So make sure you head on over there and check that out next week. Okay. Now that the housekeeping is done, it's time to talk about some news. And while there wasn't a lot of news this week, there was some really interesting news this week. So I'm going to start with the big Telltale announcement. So they came out, Telltale Games, put out a video. It's San Diego Comic-Con, which, by the way, if you're listening to this, I will already be at San Diego Comic-Con. And they always have a panel or they talk about something at Comic-Con every year since a lot of their properties are based on comic books. And this year, they have announced 3 big things. Big thing number 1, a new season of Batman is coming. So it's Batman, The Enemy Within. It will start its first episode on August 8th on PS4, Xbox One, PC, and Mac, with the iOS and Android versions coming later in the year. And the series will be available as a season pass disc in October on PS4 and Xbox One. Interesting note about this, the Riddler returns in The Enemy Within, and you can also use your save from Batman the Telltale series if you have one. Ladies, did you play Batman?
I did.
I did not.
What'd you think about it?
I really liked it.
I heard it was excellent.
I thought it was really well done. The way they kind of took Batman and turned it on its head. So I guess minor spoilers, but not going to reveal the whole plot, but
please don't.
One of the primary bases is you kind of learn that maybe Bruce Wayne's parents aren't who you thought they were, and you learn about the way, and you get closer to enemy characters than I think I've seen in most Batman things. I would say maybe Hush is similar in that way, the actual comic Batman Hush. But I just thought it was really interesting and cleverly done. And then also you can kind of choose to be Bruce Wayne a lot more than Batman, which is something that you don't usually see. Oh God, Andrea versus the Fly.
You guys can see it flying in front of the camera now. I'm going to
for
kill
those
this
of
fly by the
you
end
just
of this
listening,
podcast.
it's been an ongoing saga between Andrea and the flies. Apparently, she left the door open to the studio for 30 minutes, and now she is like being infested. Her studio is infested by flies, and so it's really funny. She looks like her cat. It's just one, and you're struggling that much?
Well, there was 2, but I killed the other one.
Okay.
Well, good job.
Thanks.
Okay, back to Batman.
Back to Batman.
Sorry.
I struggled a lot with like the morality of certain choices and what I should do and what I shouldn't. So I'm very curious and excited to see what they do for round 2. And that's all I'll say because I do want to keep it, as spoiler-free as possible.
Yeah, I got to watch John play some of this game. I think he played the whole thing and finished it, but I didn't play it myself. But I heard it was one of the better series that Telltale has done in the last couple of years. And so I think I'm going to go back in and give it a shot because I, really enjoyed my time replaying Tales from the Borderlands. And more importantly, I'm super pumped that they announced Season 2. The Wolf Among Us.
Yay!
Big B is back. Big B Wolf, the hero of the first game, returns for this sequel and expect to make more tough choices in the dark, tinged fairy tale world when it launches next year. So it's coming in 2018. That's as specific as they got, which is fine. I'm just glad that it's on its way because of all the Telltale series, The Wolf Among Us is my second favorite.
What's your first?
The Walking Dead Season 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hard to top that one. It's pretty excellent. But I was really impressed with The Wolf Among Us. And I never was a Fables reader. And I was a little like, I don't know who these characters are and if they're going to resonate with me. And was pleasantly surprised. And really, the narrative work in that game was excellently done. And from what I can remember, it didn't have a lot of terrible glitch problems during my playthrough. I know other people had some really terrible problems, as they do with most of the Telltale games.
Yeah.
But I'm excited this is coming back because they left episode 5 kind of on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, and then they were just like, lols. And then I wasn't
gone.
sure if they were ever going to come back around to it, so I'm glad that they are.
Well, according to the video, they said it sounds like they weren't planning on doing a season 2. This is what they said anyway. But because of the fan feedback, they're like, okay, this is for you, fans. And so now it's a thing that's happening.
Yeah,
So
sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was going to say I last played not Tales from Borderlands, The Wolf Among Us. February of 2015 is when I wrapped it up. So I kind of went through and rewatched. It's like a brief recap of the story. And God, that game is dark and gritty.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, so good, though. But I also saw a quote from Telltale. They did an AMA on Reddit 3 months ago. And they said, quote, should we ever continue in the world of Fables and The Wolf Among Us, it is generally agreed upon here that we wouldn't continue that storyline directly and would leave things an open mystery that's better left unanswered, ...
What is that? That's
No, that's terrible. I hate it when authors do that. I mean, you got to wrap it up. You got to get a clean bow on the end of it and make sure that you're not leaving your viewers or readers in the lurch with your story. I don't like that at all. It's like the end of Inception where his top keeps spinning.
The spinning.
And everyone's like, is it real or is he in a dream? Nobody knows. And I was like, I hate that.
I always took that to be it's infinitely spinning because I don't think a top would spin as long as it did.
I don't know. Maybe
I don't know. I'm not a top spinner. I don't.
That's not on your resume.
It's not like it. I'm like not very good at that. So maybe I just suck at it.
I don't want to spoil The Wolf Among Us for those who haven't played it. If you haven't played it,
it's been a long time.
It has. The game came out in like 2013. But
yeah.
So the ending, I'll keep this as vague as possible, isn't it when you found the dude and you have the option to imprison the dude or kill the dude, and that's how it ends off, right?
It was more of the cliffhanger with
girl.
Little Mermaid.
Okay.
Yeah. Right? Little Mermaid? Am I making that up? I don't remember who, but she was one of the strippers.
No, yeah. Okay. No, I appreciate the refresher. I couldn't quite remember like what the cliffhanger was.
Well, I mean, there were multiple storylines in play where there were things kind of left unfinished, and there were still questions about like who did what and who's responsible and things like that. So definitely worth a replay. So maybe I'll go back and replay that as well. The beauty of these Telltale games is that they're not that long. You can, play them in, a day or two. And the rounding out that Telltale news, Telltale also announced the final chapter in Clementine's story in The Walking Dead, the final season, coming for 2018. So before we went live with recording tonight, we were talking about the last season 3. And I wanted to wait until all of the episodes were out because sometimes I don't like the anxiety of waiting between episodes to continue on with my choices. And so now that they're all out, I think it's time for me to play season 3. But I heard it was not as good as season 2.
I thought you were saying not as gross.
I think I was going to say great, what? And then I said good and great at the same time, and it came out like gruel.
Yeah.
That's my bad. Also, I apologize to everybody listening if I sound a little incoherent or slurry or I mix stuff up. I'm incredibly jet-lagged. Actually, I'm just drinking water. Just water this week, guys.
Jet-lag is so romantic drunkenness.
Did either of you play any of those episodes yet?
I haven't. I've stopped playing Walking Dead with season 2 of Clementine's story. I honestly forgot that there was a season 3 until this announcement announcing the next season, and I was like, oh yeah, I never got around to playing that. So maybe I should do that because I do like Clementine.
Yeah, it's like teenage Clementine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played the first season and loved it. I was really moved by it, and it was very emotional. But yeah, for some reason after that, I just kind of fell off the Walking Dead Telltale bandwagon, and not for any particular reason. It just, for some reason, I don't know. I prioritized other things. But what I do want to do, this announcement has me hyped. I want to do a Telltale day or a Telltale week where I just try to go through and do Tales of the Borderlands, do Wolf Among Us again, do The Walking Dead. Is Game of Thrones, is that out?
Yeah.
That's out, right? That's been out?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't follow that one, so I'm not sure. But I want to go through all of them because they are fun and they are the best interactive stories,
I like them for weekday gaming. They're my preferred weekday game because they're a contained amount of time. You're like, all right, I'm going to play an episode. It's a couple hours. It's basically like watching a TV show with a little bit more action, and then you go to bed. And it's great. You don't feel, granted, there's usually cliffhangers, but even for me, I didn't feel that I must play the next one right now, usually. So I'm like, all right, now I can go to bed. Played an episode. We're good.
Yeah.
We're just yeah.
I'm staring at Andrea, come on, host.
I was just on automated
letting
mode.
the silence simmer for a minute, taking a dramatic beat, if you will.
Oh, God. She's gone.
No, I'm fine. Everything's fine. No, weekdays, weekends, however you like to game, Steimer, you do you. If you want to play Telltale games on
I will.
weekdays, you do it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to move on to our next story. BioWare general manager and Anthem director Aaryn Flynn has stepped down, replacing him, Casey Hudson, making a triumphant return. As the former director of the Mass Effect trilogy, he is now back at BioWare. So this is kind of a crazy story, and I have to say, I did not see this coming at all. BioWare general manager Aaryn Flynn is leaving the studio at the end of July, and taking his place will be Casey Hudson, a longtime employee and former BioWare executive producer, returning after 3 years away. Hudson was working as a creative director at Microsoft Studios, and he will return to BioWare as it embarks on Anthem, the first new intellectual property in a decade. Hudson said, "When I left BioWare 3 years ago, it was the most difficult decision of my career. in a post on the official BioWare blog. I needed some time off, needed a bit of change, and wanted to get involved in a new wave of disruptive technologies that were emerging. Oh, God, the tech buzzwords. He continued by saying, the last few years have been transformative for me, from having time to reflect on what I most want to do to working with new technologies at a platform scale. And now I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to return to lead BioWare, a studio that I think of as home. And Flynn, a 17-year veteran, has occupied a number of positions at the studio, including lead programmer, chief technical officer, and chief operating officer. He's been GM for the past 7 years and oversaw the launch of multiple entries in the Mass Effect, Dragon Age, and Star Wars The Old Republic franchises. He was also the original director for Anthem, which we've talked about already, and is one of our, darlings that we saw at E3. He made a post as well saying, I have been contemplating changes in my own life for some time. When I heard that Casey had confirmed he was up for the task, I realized the opportunities before us. I will be working with him over the next couple of weeks to help catch him up and do my part to set him up for success, to be the best GM he can be. Ladies.
Be all that you can be.
By the way, I want to give just a citation that those quotes I pulled from the story from Polygon, but you can also read their full statements at the BioWare blog. So, what do we think about this news?
I was also surprised, like you, Andrea, mostly because I guess I just didn't see Flynn stepping down anytime soon. He seemed pretty comfortable in that role, but 17 years, that's a long time with one company, so I kind of get it. And I think after the launch of Andromeda, and I think Casey kind of left on the tail end of Mass Effect 3, so it's like, I think things maybe just need like a chill out period where you're not worried about the internet yelling at you forever.
That day will never come.
I know, right? But I'm really happy for Casey to come back and kind of like reunite with his little family there, because I know that everybody there is super close. And I'm sure they're probably happy to have him back.
Yeah, Aaron's a rad guy. Known him for a few years. Wish him all the best. I hope he ends up somewhere where he is happy and can flourish like the flower that he is.
I wonder if he's going to do like what one of the doctors did, where he just drives around and drinks beer now. Like, that would be pretty sweet.
Can I have that life?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that this is exciting news for BioWare fans, not because we're losing Aaryn, because, as we've noted, he not only has overseen some incredible projects while he was at BioWare, but he's just an all-around really nice person, and that's always a wonderful thing to come across in any industry, but particularly in an industry like video games, where, we're kind of bombarded with, sometimes this negativity in the online space. But Casey coming back is really exciting, and I'm anticipating what he's going to do with Anthem. Obviously, Anthem has been underway for quite some time, so it's not like he's going to be changing the trajectory of the production in a massive way. At least I have to assume.
He's more general manager than, I think, necessarily, like you said, than influencing necessarily what they're going to be doing on the Anthem, but
we're dramatic silence.
Yeah, dramatic silence again. But that's my point. Is more like, I think people are probably, concerned because of everything with Mass Effect 3 and the way that ended, and having Casey come back. I'm sure that there's skepticism there, but I just think he's not going to have that same exact role, right? He's going to be now running the whole studio, whereas before he was can't remember his title off the top of my head. You just said it too. What was it? Executive producer or?
He had a bunch of different titles while he was there. Yeah,
all of the titles.
Director of Mass Effect trilogy.
Yeah, director. So I'm sure he'll obviously have some influence, but like Andrea said, the train's rolling. He's not gonna derail it and be like, no, we're going over here now.
Right. It's not like they brought in a random Joe Schmo from the streets. They're like, okay, big shoes to fill. Clearly he's spending some time with Flynn, and I am confident in Casey, and I'm confident that Aaryn will leave Casey Casey will, whatever. Aaryn will leave BioWare.
Aaryn will leave, Aaryn will leave Casey.
Do you think that the performance of Andromeda had anything to do with Aaryn leaving, or do you think it is, as he said in his blog post, that it was just time for a change? He'd been at the company for a while and just wanted some new scenery.
Little column A, little column B.
Right, that could be it. Now, if Andromeda had performed extremely well for BioWare and the reception was like, oh my god, this is amazing, would we be speculating that he's leaving because of the game? Do you know what I mean? So it could have been all along like, hey, I'm going to work on Andromeda, finish it up, and peace out. But now because the game didn't perform as well as I think many had hoped, it's just maybe it appears that way. So I think it's hard to say. I don't know if we'll ever know.
Yeah. In speculation terms, I would say it's probably something along the lines of he was already feeling a little, he'd been at that job for 7 years, like that specific role, GM, which is a big burden to have on your shoulders. Then I just think the sort of messy launch of Andromeda kind of compounded it to the burnout that he was probably already feeling. And then once it was like, oh, hey, Casey can step in here, great, like, awesome, I'm going to go on vacation for a really long time.
Yeah, right. Just gonna
I don't know what he's doing next, but yeah, I'm hoping he gets a few pina coladas in there.
Well, Aaryn, thanks for all the hard work at BioWare over the years. Have some pina coladas, take some photos, and post them on Twitter, and we'll retweet. So we wish them the best of luck, and of course, we'll keep an eye on what Casey will be up to when he's back at the helm of BioWare. Our last big story for our news segment this week, the Nintendo Switch online app is available now. I downloaded it before we went live on the show. Okay, that's not true. We aren't live, but I did download the app. So in advance of Splatoon 2's launch, Nintendo has released its new mobile app that will handle most of the social functions of the online gameplay experience. Called the Nintendo Switch Online app, it's going to be the place for most of the console's internet functionality and features that it provides will differ from game to game. For example, when Splatoon 2 comes out, players will be able to use the app for voice chat, game invites, and the dedicated Splatnet 2 service that was detailed in a Nintendo Direct earlier this month. The app is available now on iOS and Android devices and will be free to use until Nintendo's paid online service launches in 2018. So as we have talked about on the show previously, Nintendo has said that their online service will be free for all of 2017. I think that's kind of like a beta test period for them, and so they're not going to charge.
They can't charge for what they have.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of which, what they have with the functionality of this app, I took a screenshot of a tweet that I saw when I was
I think I know when this would be.
Scrolling through, somebody tweeted, it was Nick Robinson, and he said, Xbox Live launched on the original Xbox in 2002 and literally had better, more robust online features than the Switch 15 fucking years ago. That's from @Babylonian. Thanks, Nick. So, okay. He brings up an amazing point that Nintendo is just really, really far behind when it comes to online connectivity and functionality.
Okay.
Go ahead, Britt.
Okay, so again, let me preface this. I am not a Nintendo hater. I love Nintendo. I buy all of their consoles. I buy every Zelda Mario game they put out. I love Nintendo. I just don't understand what they're doing sometimes with their business decisions. So this thing is just so ass backwards. I don't know why you would take like a formula that's been tried and true and has worked, like you said, Andrea, for many a year, and try to revamp it into this weird, super cordy, messy situation. It just doesn't make sense. Now, the only thing I can think of is that they're trying to be kind of sneaky squirrels and create a barrier to online play, so they kind of maintain that family-friendly atmosphere. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Like, instead of having potential issues by integrating chat on their console, so like that's when you get all of the accounts on all the hate chat that happens on Xbox Live and PlayStation, relegating it to a phone, which means most people aren't going to use it. The only people who are going to use it are the people willing to take that extra step, and then hopefully they won't be jerks to each other. That's kind of what you're saying, though, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's the only thing I can think, like the only reason, Nintendo-ish reason I could think why they would make this so damn complicated. I mean, for example, if you want to launch multiplayer in Splatoon 2, my understanding is you have to go, you're in the game, you have to go to like a multiplayer section, and then you have to access your phone, and then through your phone you have to send the invites, and then you can confirm everything through the game.
Wait, really?
Yeah, like here I have a quote from
the worst user flow I've ever heard.
Yeah. Okay, so first you'll need to head to the online lounge in Splatoon 2's multiplayer area. From there, you'll be prompted to create a room, and then you can push a notification to your phone. It's on your phone and only on your phone that you can then invite friends into a room. Not only that, no, this is frustrating shit. Not only that, unless you buy a splitter that's being sold, I don't think has confirmation for North America yet. I could be wrong, but it's in Japan. And it's a Splatoon 2 headset, and it comes with a splitter because if you plug, you don't get game audio is the problem.
Right.
You only get the voice audio. So you have to have this splitter, so now you have, like, cords everywhere. Like, look at this. That is the setup you will have to have.
Oh, it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
You know what I said I wanted more of in the future? Cords.
Cords.
I wanted more cords.
It's interesting that you bring up the cords and the setup, because when I was looking around at some of the reaction to this coming out today, I saw a quote from Reggie Fils-Aimé from IGN, and they were asking him about the mobile app and why it's tied to a mobile app instead of native on the hardware. And he said, "We want to reinforce the capability to take your experience with you on the go. The ability to do matchmaking, voice chat through your phone, it's a hell of a lot more convenient than having a gamer headset stuck into your backpack trying to do that. That's why we're doing it the way we are. We see the convenience, we see the ease of delivery, we think it's going to lead to a better experience."
Except you need to plug the splitter into your friggin' console and your phone. How is that more convenient?
It's the other thing too about this whole app, and granted, this is early. Nintendo could implement changes that makes it more convenient, but you have to have the Nintendo app on your phone at all times. If you try to back out, if you want to like look up a walkthrough on the internet, if you want to check your text, your chat is disconnected. It's
really
gone.
Even Discord doesn't do that.
Right?
What?
Yeah.
That's huge.
So basically, we should all just use Discord.
Oh my gosh, no way. I'm actually really mad about that right now.
It's really, I don't know how that was a thing that was implemented into this app, but like I said, it's still early. They're not charging for it. Maybe they're waiting for fan feedback. I don't know how this would have passed anything, but it did. So it's just not, it's a very ugly solution. Very bad.
Wait,
you guys are watching the video. My face is just like I just like that's
disbelief.
It's mind blowing that they would do something so backwards like that.
Right.
Like
how did they handle Splatoon 1?
I don't know. That was
it wasn't just online voice chat through using you would do the Nintendo codes.
I don't know. That's what I'm. I don't think there was.
Or was there no?
Maybe there was no voice chat, but you just were able to add friends easily, like with your friend codes, right? But from what it sounds like you're saying, Britt, is now you can't even just add your friends through your friend codes on your console. You have to go through this app. Is that correct?
That's what it sounds like. Now, granted, I haven't played Splatoon 2, so I haven't used this app. Right. And so I haven't actually used the functionality of it, but from what I've read online through several articles, that's what it sounds like. That you're going to have to use your app if you want to participate in online matchmaking and chat.
So
that's weird.
I was trying to give Nintendo the benefit of the doubt with the cell phone thing, with the app. Because let's face it, the vast majority of people around the world have a smartphone in 2017. That's just a reality.
Yeah.
But the problem is that when you think about families that have children who probably are going to want to play games like Splatoon 2, all the kids in the world don't have smartphones. Sure, some privileged kids do. So what are you going to do? Have to get each of your kids a smartphone so that they can chat with each other while they're playing Splatoon 2? That just doesn't make sense.
Well, why would your kids need voice chat on your phone, though? Wouldn't they just be in the same room?
No, but if they have friends that they're playing with, and
Nobody had friends when I was a kid.
Oh,
nobody had
he's out.
friends.
No, it doesn't. Again, like,
so that's
you know,
a barrier, but
yeah.
Sorry, Britt. Just to reiterate, you're telling me that when I pull up the app and I'm on the app and you and I are playing Mario Kart doing voice chat and I get a text message and I go to respond to the text message, it'll disconnect me from the chat?
Yes.
I mean,
yeah, that's bad.
I mean, I would imagine that this is something that
They're gonna
this
fix.
will be something that
Right?
will be fixed. Yes, I hope.
For the love of God, please.
That's why I was like, they can't charge for this yet. I mean, granted,
No,
their little
definitely
online
not.
game streaming library collective, what's it called? Classic Game Selection isn't out yet either, and that's going to be part of the subscription package. But it just boggles my mind, and I'm trying desperately to find a reason, a purpose. And I think that is maybe they're just trying to create a tougher barrier to entry. Like if I was playing Minecraft on the Switch, and I was easily able to play with Jason, I didn't need the app to do that. So I'm not sure if it's going to be like you need the app to do online chat and organize parties for specific games. I don't know if that's been made clear yet. Clearly, it's a messy situation right now, so hopefully we'll get some clarification in the future.
Well, we'll find out real soon when Splatoon 2 launches and we all try to play together and we're like, how do I add you?
No, it was
the app just launched the day that we recorded this, so Wednesday, and this obviously the podcast is going to be out on Friday. So hopefully in that period of time, in that like 36 hours or whatever from now until then, some people will be doing some extensive testing and we'll get some more information about exactly how the app is going to function. And then of course Splatoon 2 goes live today, the day the podcast is out on Friday, and then that'll go out to a much larger audience. Troubling is what this news is. So,
Yeah, if it was just, I honestly, I wouldn't mind it if it was just like, there's this really ass-backwards way of getting voice chat, like whatever, that's fine, because again, we could just use Discord, we can use something else, but if it's like, well, now I need to go to the game and then I need to look at my phone in order to just get us in a party, that's where I'm more concerned. I'm not concerned about the voice chat because there's other options.
Right. We'll have to see how they utilize this and how they respond to feedback, because none of it is good. Love you, Nintendo.
That is 100% true. Okay, well, that is going to wrap up our first segment of news. When we come back after the break, we will talk about what we've been playing, which includes Zelda, Destiny 2 beta, and a whole bunch of RPGs from Brit. Stay with us, guys. We'll be right back. of the Was Good Games podcast. So that means it's time to talk about what we got hands-on with. And this week was the premiere of the Destiny 2 beta. It went live first on PlayStation 4, then for pre-orders also on Xbox One. It'll be available to everybody who wants to give it a try on July 21st on both PS4 and Xbox One. And the PC beta is coming at a to-be-determined date at some point in late August. So, ladies, we all have gotten some time with this. I'm definitely going to be playing more of it, but Britt, what are your first impressions?
First impressions, honestly, it just feels like a more polished Destiny from what I played. I played the opening, what was it called? Opening
Homecoming?
Story scene. Homecoming, yeah, thank you. And then I did this Strike, and I was like, this is awesome. I love it. And now I'm just anxiously awaiting the full retail release. I mean, it feels better. It looks more cinematic. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like it just looks better and there's more things going on. I felt more immersed, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But I'm not really a Crucible kind of person. I don't like competitive online multiplayer, so I didn't jump into any of those modes.
You were playing which class?
Titan.
Now, is that what you played?
Captain America.
Is that what you played in the regular Destiny and original Destiny?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. What did you think about the shield?
So in the last Destiny, and I'm not a Destiny fan like Andrea, so correct me if I say anything incorrect. In the first Destiny, you have the bubble thing, right? The shield.
Yes.
And I prefer that because I like to be more of like a defensive player, which is weird being a Titan. I think that's more of like your tanky offensive, like rah rah, I'm gonna go get in your face and destroy you. No.
You can, you can be tanky defensive too. That's totally fun.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's my jam. So it was good. I mean, I only used it maybe a handful of times, and it was fun. But half the time, I felt like I was missing. Like, I wish there was some sort of auto lock. So I was like trying to bash him, like Z targeting, like the Zelda people will understand that. That would have been appreciated. Or maybe I'm just rusty and need some more time with it. But I definitely would have preferred the shield, the bubble, the
shield bubble.
The good news is that the Sentinel subclass for Titans is not mandatory. The original subclasses are returning. They're revamped a little bit, but you'll definitely be able to get your bubble on if that's what you want.
Bubble butt.
Steimer and I got to play together, and we both rode out as Arc Striders, which is the new subclass for Hunters. I have played with all three classes in Destiny, but Steimer, did you get a chance to play with the Titan or the Warlock in original Destiny, or did you only play Hunter?
I started off as a Warlock when I first played Destiny, and then I realized that the Warlocks don't have super awesome capes, and so I immediately re-rolled as a Hunter and never looked back. Although I don't want us to all be the same thing, so I'm kind of like, maybe I will try Warlock, because I think they had a pretty sweet looking new ability. They're Dawnblade, correct? Is that right? Am I messing that up?
Dawnbreaker?
Dawnbreaker, sorry.
Is that thing where you float in the sky, then you like rain hell?
It's the fire elemental sword from Guild Wars 2.
Oh, never mind.
Fiery greatsword. But yeah, so I mean, I might try Warlock this time around. I've never really been much for the aesthetics of the Titan, so I don't think I would ever go Titan. But I just such a cape person, and this is the thing that bothers me. I wish that they would have more customization, and so you could change the way your character looks a bit more. But that's another rant for another day.
I do have to say, in the middle of your speech there, you froze for half of a second in a like this. Like this for a second, putting your hands up in the air. It was kind of funny. So for people who were watching, Dawnblade, you are correct. That was the name of the subclass, which is my bad. You got it right.
Yay! Points for me.
Yeah, okay. I am still a little ambivalent about each of these new subclasses. I think that they are still a little too similar to what we've already seen in Destiny. I don't think that any of them are so radically different that I'm like, ooh, how new and exciting. I got really jazzed when we were at the Destiny 2 gameplay reveal event in Los Angeles, when they showed the video of all 3 different subclasses and we got to see some gameplay, when I saw the Arcstrider gameplay, I was like, wow, that looks super cool. Looks like a Jedi with the, it's like Darth Maul with his stick and, really swirling around, having a great time. And then we played it and it feels so much like Blade Dancer in a way that I'm a little disappointed. Now, I've done some reading and looked at some of the, pro Destiny people and the streamers and the people who do a lot of YouTube content, kind of getting their thoughts on it. And they're like, oh, this is what we wanted Blade Dancer to be, and now it's better. And I'm like, is it though? I guess technically there's a little bit different customization within the skill tree that makes it more interesting, but I keep getting a little let down that Destiny 2 doesn't feel like a true sequel. It feels like an expansion pack. And as somebody who has put several hundred hours into Destiny, it's, I want to maintain my enthusiasm. And don't get me wrong, I'm still going to play this game a lot. But I'm a little disappointed. And the beta has just reinforced that for me. All of the content that we're seeing in the beta was the content that was at the gameplay reveal event. So we're playing the Inverted Spire, which is the strike, which is excellent. It's a nice long strike, and there's several different areas and some, unique challenges within that strike. But the new PvP mode, which, Brittany, you got lucky. I forced Steimer into playing PvP with me.
It wasn't as bad as I thought, honestly.
See? That's what I'm saying. You just gotta go for it. And it's much better when you roll with a fire team of people that and then you can all play together. It's tough going solo when you're in PvP, particularly with the new redesign. The 4v4 style on these new maps makes it a little bit more challenging to not work directly with your teammates. I mean, particularly in Countdown, the new mode that is in the beta, where it's 4v4 and then one team is defending and one team is arming. So you have to go to a location on the map, arm a charge, and then once the charge is armed, you have to defend it from the other team. And then the other team's goal, of course, is to prevent you from charging it in the first place. And then if you do get it, then they have to disarm it by ultimately killing you. And it was very evident that you have to work together. At the very least, you have to be in pairs of 2, but better to kind of run together as a whole team of 4. Steimer, how did you feel about that mode? What was your kind of takeaway?
As somebody who doesn't play a lot of competitive multiplayer, I think I was very surprised at how short those rounds were. I mean, it makes sense when you think about it, but I was like, when the first one was done, I was like, oh.
Yeah, because there's no respawning. Let me make that notation. That in that particular mode, once you die, you're dead. But there is an opportunity to get a revive if you are able to arm the charge. Yes. Oh, no, pick up power ammo. I think that's what it is.
There's something that triggers like a revive. But I didn't mind it. I thought it was interesting. Again, I think you said it's similar to a different mode in Call of Duty. Is that what you said?
Oh, so that was Control. So in the beta, there's 2 different PvP modes that you can play. So Quick Play is Control, which is the mode from previous Destiny, where you hold a point on the map, A, B, and C. It's very similar to Domination in Call of Duty, yeah.
Gotcha.
It's almost identical. Like capture the flag, essentially.
Yeah, that's what that one was. The arm disarm thing.
Countdown.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't have like super strong opinions on it because I'm not a huge multiplayer person. But I thought it was fun when we were playing it. I was glad we had 4 people. I would not have enjoyed that at all if we were not a group of 4 that was talking to each other. Because I do think you're right. I think it requires a lot of coordination, and you need to be talking to each other at all times if you want to do well. Because otherwise you're gonna be like, well, I'm over here getting murdered by everyone. Like, come help me. But there's no other way to really communicate other than the headset.
Andrea, I wanted to ask you something. So you were saying that it feels more like an expansion to Destiny rather than Destiny 2. Do you think you could be jumping the gun a little bit, seeing as you haven't been able to explore the story or the new environments or anything like that? Because for me, that's what I'm looking. Steimer's shaking her head. That's what, like, for me, I'm more of a story based Destiny player and more like I want to explore and roam the lands. And so for me, it's okay that it feels kind of like a more polished Destiny. But what do you think about that?
You could be right. I could be jumping the gun. There are plenty of sequels that come back and they don't have brand new mechanics. They don't have brand new characters. They're not radically changing the storyline. They are just providing another installment in the continuation of a narrative that was already started. And there's nothing wrong with that. So it's very possible that when Destiny 2 finally does launch in September, I'm going to be blown away by what they're doing with story. And, they've different reps for Bungie have gone on the record to say there's going to be a lot of story. There's going to be much more story than you think there's going to be. You might think that there's too much story. I don't know if that's a thing. But for me, one of the main criticisms I had of my time with Destiny, which again, caveat, I didn't stop playing it despite the fact that this bothered me, was that they reused environments, they reused enemies, they reused mechanics and content over and over again throughout Destiny. Even with the expansions for the original Destiny over the 3 years or whatever, it still felt like a lot of the same stuff. I kept seeing the same thing. The raids were truly the only unique piece of content that felt really different than the strikes or the story missions or even the Crucible. And we had to really see how that's going to play out in Destiny 2. We don't know yet. I mean, we do know that they've confirmed some new environments, but the Cabal are back, and I was really hoping for a brand new enemy race. I didn't think that was that much to ask for in a sequel, but I get that maybe it doesn't work with the narrative and the lore and the story that they're trying to tell if they bring in a whole new enemy race, and so they just kind of tweaked the Cabal a little bit, kind of like how they tweaked the Fallen and they tweaked the Hive in the various expansions. So, time will tell, Britt, if my disappointment, my premature disappointment is going to play out, or if it'll turn around and be a Game of the Year contender. I really would love to see them get that recognition because they have really excelled at a few things. The live shared world shooting environment that they've created in the online space is fantastic. The multiplayer functionality of Destiny worked pretty much flawlessly, at least for my own personal experiences. So that was excellent.
I didn't like it as much. As somebody who loves MMOs, and not that it technically there was nothing wrong with it, right? Like it ran, it worked, it was good. But for me, it just, and I'm excited to see the way that they're changing it now, because to me, Destiny 1 felt like an MMO that didn't want you to talk to anybody. And that's kind of
you could dance. You emoted through dancing.
You can only dance so many times. Those are some great dance moves. If you are listening, you need to go watch the video because they're dancing. Dancing, quote unquote. So for that, like, to me as an MMO player, that was really disappointing, because if I'm running up to, like, okay, we're gonna like take down this group event together, there's no, I lacked the sense of camaraderie that I would have wanted. It sounds like they're starting to change those things. And I think that they, like, the make or break for me.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but did you know that there's a team voice channel that when you enter those public instances that you could turn on and join whenever you wanted? But if
sorry.
No, but, I mean, but yeah, so it was like a button press, and then you would enter the team voice channel, and you could communicate with anybody in that public zone.
I did not know that, but good to know.
And you don't need an app. You don't need an app.
No, it's built into the client. Yeah, it was.
Was still disappointed by the way that they had it running before, but whatever. Maybe I just didn't know about the voice chat. Also, but here's the thing, though. For me, I don't want to voice chat with people.
Well, see, then what are you complaining about?
Because I type. So, like, because I'm an MMO player.
But
so, like, the thing that I like to do is, like, you
game.
have a little bit of distance between the people, but you can still engage the way you want to.
Well,
I get it. I get it.
Point you bring up, though, because now we're going to see how they're going to handle chat with the PC client that they're going to be using. Obviously they're going to be launching through blizzard.net, and we don't know how the in-game chat is going to work in the PC version of the game. Maybe they will have keyboard functionality, because clearly on console trying to type with the controller is a waste of time.
I'm 100% on board with that.
So while I understand where you're coming from. I don't necessarily agree with that criticism.
That's fine. But here's the main part for me, because that.
She froze again, you guys. It's great. Britt is taking a photo. This may or may not make it into the final video.
Okay, hi. Yeah, sorry.
It happens.
So Andrea was looking at me like she was about to be like, no, and then Britt had also like a sort of disapproving look on her face, and it was for a while, and I was like still talking, and I was like, you guys really just hate what I'm saying. I don't know.
We record this show using the power of the internet, a lot of duct tape and MacGyvering with OBS Studio, and the never-ending patience of our unnamed producer. So apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes the internet just shits the bed.
Nice.
And it means that we have to patch it back together. So,
yes.
Okay. Well, we were discussing...
I don't know where I cut off.
You were like this. So whatever you were doing when you...
I had said that I didn't really agree with your criticism, and then you were saying...
I was saying that for me, what I'm looking forward to most is seeing how they populate the world environments this time around. I'm hoping for more variance. I don't want to just see rando enemies out there. I want to go find cool things to explore that have bits of story in them. Like, I want to be like, oh, what's that building over there? And I want to go over there, and I want it to have a meaning and a reason behind it. And it sounded like that's sort of what they were trying to go for at their Destiny 2 event in LA. So I'm hopeful for that. However, I was also, and with this beta, I was like, oh, there's almost none of that. Like, you can't see any of it. It was just...
They held back all the cool shit.
They did. But I thought it was interesting what you were saying, Andrea, and I wonder if calling it Destiny 2 was a bad marketing move. Now, we'll see again. We'll waiting and seeing, depending on what they deliver world-wise, but I wonder if maybe they're taking too much of a gamble on that, if it's going to be a Dragon Age 2 situation where you probably shouldn't have called it 2 and people would have been okay with it. If you'd called it Dragon Age Kirkwall, I don't think anybody would have minded.
We could rant about this forever, Steimer.
But
it's all about setting expectations.
Exactly. Yeah. Marketing needs to set the proper expectations for the gamer, and if they are not doing that, and if they are overextending their expectations of this game, that's going to backfire.
Word.
So don't do that. It's a bad idea.
Okay, well, it will be interesting to see how chat functionality will work on the PC version, because Steimer, you were saying when you normally play, PC MMOs, you are able to text chat with people.
Yes. That is basically the primary way of chatting with folks, unless you know them in real life. I don't think usually people are hopping on headsets. So it's easy to just quickly be like, hey guys, what's this over here? Like, so I got lost in one part of Guild Wars 2, and I just went into map chat and was like, yo, I need some help at this certain part, and then people came and helped me, and I didn't have to actually talk to anybody in real life, and it was great. So when you were talking about, like, you could hop on the headset, I'm like, that's a thing I don't even know that I would want to do, talk to strangers, especially, sometimes when you are a female on the internet, it doesn't go so well.
It's okay to say most of the time.
Most
of the time it does not go well.
Which is why text chat is great, because you have, it's just, hi, I need this thing, and then people will answer your question, and you're done. You walk away.
Yeah, and obviously playing on a controller on console, it's not easy to text chat, and that's why the voice functionality has been there in the game. But yeah, well, like we said, we'll have to wait and see when the PC version comes out if that's something that's changed. If you saw that kind of functionality in the PC version, would you play it on PC instead? No,
because I'm going to play with you guys. So we're all going to squat up, and it'll be fine because we are squatted up. But I'm just saying, like, I and it wasn't even necessarily from my perspective, but I was just saying, like, the way that they had sort of tried to pitch it, it didn't feel as community focused originally as it does now. Like, the way that they presented it at the Destiny 2 event does feel like they're trying to make it feel a bit more like an MMO, not entirely, obviously, but they are trying to add in a few more of those features.
Get it right.
Yes. Sorry, whatever. I'm going to call it MMO stuff.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And I think that we have talked about how they're holding back a lot of the really cool content, the new exploratory functionality that they're adding into the open world, some of these new side quests they're doing, the treasure hunting, things like that. And obviously they're, making a more robust offering in the Crucible in the PvP modes, which you ladies have already said that you don't really want to try, but I'm going to ask you to help me out.
I'll do it again with you. I had a good time last night, but I'm sure it will get worse because people will get way better.
I'm a good decoy.
But the good news is right now the way that Destiny works is that the gear and things that you have are all leveled out when you play, except for Iron Banner events. And that's when the level of your gear actually has a real world effect against your opponents. You're all kind of like on an even playing field when it comes to your gear, which
with gear,
helpful.
Sure, but your twitch reflexes, not so much.
Yeah, gear isn't the issue; it's skill.
Okay, so if you guys haven't tried the Destiny 2 beta and you want to try it, it is going to be available for all people to try on Xbox One and PS4 starting July 21st through the 23rd. The PC beta, as I mentioned, is coming sometime in August, and they are opening up an area called The Farm, which is supposed to be like the alternate version of the tower on the final day of the beta only. So on July 23rd, if you guys want to check out a new area, they're letting people kind of poke around and explore that a bit, but that's only on July 23rd. So
how many dance parties are going to be happening there?
We'll dance party. That'd be great. All right, so ladies, it's time to move on. Brittany, you have quite a list here in front of me, and I want to know, what of these games do you want to talk about next?
You don't want to spend all night talking about all the games I've been playing?
I mean, of course I do, but we only have so much time.
Okay. So real quick, I have been playing Chrono Trigger, Horizon, Secret of Evermore, the Destiny 2 beta, and Breath of the Wild. So I've been playing quite a bit, and it's kind of getting to that critical mass point where if I take on any more, I might just blow into a million pieces.
Yeah, I mean, how could you? These are all massive games. I mean, except for the beta, but these are giant games.
I don't know how I've gotten to this point, but I'm here and I'm trying to make the most of it. It's kind of intense. So I'll talk about Secret of Evermore a bit. So Secret of Evermore released in 1995, and I'm also playing Chrono Trigger, like I said. So I'm kind of on this old JRPG kick right now, and this is a game I never played growing up. It's a game that I watched my grandma play when I was 7. So it's cool to finally play it. What I'm doing that's a little different with Secret of Evermore is I own a legitimate copy. I remember buying it back in the day. But so have any of you played Secret of Mana?
No.
But I know what it is.
Okay,
yes, I know of Secret of Mana.
Okay, so Secret of Mana plays a lot like Secret of Evermore, but it was 2-player. And so Jason and I played that together a couple years ago on the Super Nintendo. It was fantastic. And Secret of Evermore looks like it should be a 2-player game, but it's not. So we, admittedly, this is wrong, whatever, found a ROM that's 2-player, and it came in a cartridge. And so we're playing it.
Why is it wrong?
I don't know, people.
Illegal move.
It's an illegal move. It's old, but I do own a legitimate copy, so I don't feel too shitty. It's something, for some reason, that I've always felt really bad about. But I am playing it, and we are playing it together. I'm the boy, he's the dog, and I'm maybe 6 or 7 hours into it, and it's really cute and charming, and I'm kind of captivated by it. It's just something about a 1995 JRPG with the graphics and the music, a Square game. You just can't get that nowadays. So it's really fun.
I love the image of Jason being the dog. I'm just imagining him as this little 8-bit dog, right next to you.
16-bit.
Yeah,
sorry.
I was gonna say 16-bit. Come on, get it right.
Whatever. All of the bits, have them all, take them.
No, I mean, there's not a lot of depth to this game. The gameplay is fun. I mean, you have your armor to equip, you have new weapons, and you level up your skills by practicing them and using them more and more. It's one of those, and it's kind of unforgiving in the sense that, if you die, you're screwed, but the bosses are really difficult, and it's just a really fun throwback, and it's great to play it with someone. So I'm, very late to this party, 22 years or so, but it's fantastic. It's fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. Steimer.
Yeah, hi.
You finally got to play Edith Finch. What remains of Edith Finch?
I did. I liked it a lot. What I think I appreciated most about it was that, and I don't like using this term, but a lot of games like it are what I like to call walking simulators, and they aren't necessarily anything more than telling you a story. You don't really do much. You just kind of like let it hit you. And I appreciated that they went sort of an extra step further and allowed you to really see the narrative from these other characters' perspectives and engage you more than you might normally find in a game like this. So I thought that was really well done. I also thought a lot of the storytelling was really clever, like you'd mentioned before when you guys were talking about it. And yeah, I don't want to rehash too much because you guys kind of nailed it when you talked about it earlier, but I agree. I really liked it.
Yay.
And you're still playing Breath of the Wild.
I am still playing Breath of the Wild. I played it at a coffee shop today and a man laughed at me.
What? Why?
I don't know. It was very confusing. I texted Britt during this too because I was just like, I literally just pulled out my Switch and a man sitting, because so there was sort of stadium seating, so I was sitting below and he was sitting above me.
At a coffee shop?
Yeah, it's weird. Venice. And so he was just like, he just starts giggling. And I looked up and he's looking at me and I was like, what the? So I just kind of moved into a corner away from him.
I still think he was awkwardly trying to hit on you. Like, haha, I met a girl at the coffee shop with her Switch, and now we're married and have 10 kids. Like, that's probably the future he had envisioned for you guys.
You know, laughing at me is not the best way to get into my pants. Sorry.
Maybe he was trying to neg you.
But he said nothing. He said nothing. He just laughed.
I love that Steimer, though, is playing Breath of the Wild because I'll get these random ass, like, angry texts from her that make no sense, no context, whatever. She's just pissed off about, like, she's like, God, the electrical guys are killing me. And I'm like, what electrical guys? Oh, the bats, the keys? And she's like, yeah.
Not the bats. No, they're shooting shock arrows at me.
Oh,
the hobgoblin. They're not hobgoblins, but whatever they are.
Goblins.
Yeah, they're shooting shock arrows at me. And I'm having a very hard time getting past them.
No, come on. All you have to do is dodge the shock arrow. It's not that hard to dodge it.
The thing...
And then you shoot them with your arrows.
It's because I was playing outside, and it's actually just really hard to see the screen. So I was doing my best trying to, like, get the light right. But eventually I just stopped playing it because I was like, this is meant for a darker room. And I also, at certain times of day... I should have just probably waited at a fire. I could see the screen fine when it was daytime in Zelda, but as soon as it started to hit dusk, I was like, I can barely see what's happening within 5 feet of me. Like, I had no more draw distance.
Steimer.
You know what, Andrea? I'm going to take you with me next time. I'm like, make you play this game in the sunlight and see how well you do.
So I've also been playing Breath of the Wild. I played a lot on both of the trips on the airplane across the Atlantic Ocean. And I'm having a good time. I'm not quite like super hooked into it. Like, I'm not at all moments of the day going, oh my gosh, I need to play more Zelda. But I definitely want to see more and do more against people's advice. So I went to Twitter. If you guys follow me at Andrea Renee on Twitter, I asked people for their tips and tricks. I got plenty of cheeky responses. Use a sword. Hey, thanks. That's great advice. But I got some, good advice from people. And Britt, as you mentioned on the podcast last week when you guys were talking with Mary about it, everyone plays Zelda a little bit differently. It was pretty split between people recommending to level up stamina versus level up hearts first. Some people said, oh, you should go to this one divine beast right away. Other people said, don't do the divine beast. Go get all of your hearts filled first and get the master sword and then go and do the divine beast. So I've been kind of marching to the beat of my own drum, and I decided to go to the Zora region and see the fish people and do the...
I'm trying to get to the fish people.
Zoras.
When you first meet Sidon, like, at the base, and he's like, hey, I'm in the water, come and follow me. By the way, it's a really long path up the hill. Hope you're up for it. I was like, it can't be that bad. And, like, it's long, but it wasn't particularly challenging.
It is when you play it in the sun.
Well, my thing is that I've discovered a love of cooking. So before I approach any place, I cook a lot. I really just love the cooking music. It's just so
It's cute.
happy.
Yeah, I like it too.
Especially when it gets like the little extra thing on the end when you've made like an extra special.
The little
thing.
jingle you get. Yeah.
It's very nice, but yeah, I think the key, of course, is to just go in prepared. And I did have a little bit of trouble with Ruta, the elephant divine beast, which is the one that you can choose to defeat for that region. So I may have looked up a walkthrough and looked for some help with the puzzles, because I have no shame in that, because I am playing this game for the enjoyment of the relaxation of it. And, you know, if that means that I want to skip through a puzzle, so be it. You can judge me if you want to.
There was a shrine I straight up skipped because it was all like motion with the.
Was it like the Marble Madness? Is that the one you're talking about?
What you do is you take your whatever you're playing on and you just flip it, and that's what worked for me. And 10 out, because I tried it 10 times. Like, don't ask, I was drunk. But 10 out of 10 times, it went in the hole because I couldn't believe it. Because I was struggling. That's what she said. I was struggling with this as well.
Couldn't believe it went in the hole.
I was struggling with this as well, and I was getting really frustrated. And I was like, and I kind of like threw my controller, but not really. I like flipped it. I did the motion of a flip, and it goes right in, hole in one. What? And I was like, And so I did some math, and I'm like, how many times will this happen? And then I did it 10 times, and it went in 10 times. So
yeah,
no. Just remember, just like flip your controller, and it'll work.
Okay,
Go back to it.
I'll try that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that work when you're playing it as the solid unit, or did you do that with the Pro controller?
I did that with
the TV.
I did that to the Pro controller.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say, because I was playing it while I was traveling, so it wasn't docked. So if I flipped the entire unit, I wouldn't be able to see what I'm doing.
Well,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, I entered that shrine on an airplane back from San Francisco to LA and was like, nope, this isn't happening. Trying to do this on an airplane.
Shrine as well. I was like, this is something that I may never do. I may just leave this undone. Because there are 127 shrines in the game.
It's something crazy, and I have put probably 80 hours into it, and I haven't even found half of them. I'm like right at that point. So good.
No way, man. Okay, so here's what I want to say about Zelda. Since I know we've already talked about Zelda quite a few times, and I don't want our listeners and viewers to be like, ugh, they're talking about Zelda again. Maybe if you're like me, that's how you feel. But
no, I understand.
I get it.
I see what people really loved about this game. I think I'm starting to understand why people are calling it a potential game of the year, why it got so many 10s and 9s when it came out, more 10s than 9s. I mean, it's really excellently done. The idea that you can essentially scale pretty much every surface in the game is really interesting, that you can walk pretty seamlessly from one area to the next with very minimal loading screens. The loading screens that I've only seen have been when I've died, and which has been plenty.
Or when you enter a shrine.
Right. So like, but the loading going in and out of a shrine is pretty quick.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Which has been, which is a technical feat, so hats off to Nintendo for that. The thing that I'm having trouble reconciling with this idea of, oh my gosh, but you can go anywhere in Zelda. You could climb up to the highest mountain and then paraglide off. My thing that I just don't get is why. What's the point if there's nothing up there for me to discover? Sure, there are plenty of parts in the world of Zelda where there's a thing or a person or a treasure or something for you to go out and find. But there are far more areas of the world where there's just grass and trees and an occasional like dragonfly, or you'll come across some cranes you can shoot, or a deer or whatever. But there's nothing there. It's just empty land. And Skyrim had this problem to a little bit, but I felt like Skyrim populated the world quite a bit more than Zelda has. And that's my biggest criticism so far in my experience. And I'm about 10 to 15 hours in, which is like a drop in the bucket for Zelda, which I'm completely aware of. But I've spent a lot of time walking because I haven't yet tamed a horse. And I've ridden a horse for like 2 minutes once. And I was like, oh, this is great. And then I like lost him. And then I was like, oh, now where do I find another horse? And now I haven't found another horse since. But
you have to register your horses. Did you know that?
Nope, didn't know that.
Yep.
I'll
find a stable.
Out.
Yep.
So I haven't found a stable yet. But so I've been doing a lot of walking. And there's just not that much to see in Hyrule. And that's a little disappointing. I really appreciate the technical feat and the exploratory function of this open world, and I get why people really love it, but I just don't think it makes sense to just throw in this exploration if there isn't stuff to see along the way.
See, I disagree a little bit in the sense that I think what I liked about it is that there were little things. You need to be paying attention or you'll miss it. Things like the Korok seeds. Like the first one I came across, I didn't know what it was. I just saw a flower that then moved, and then my natural inclination is to go follow it and see what the hell's going on. And then, finding different things that are like that, you're like, oh, I see a bunch of petals flowing in the wind. What's that? Run after it. Go see. It's exploration in that way versus a traditional way. The thing I think I'm going to run into is I think I am going to get tired of this eventually, because I think it's going to get repetitive. Because while it's like fun and exciting at the first few times, how many Korok seeds are there, Brittany? Like a bajillion?
The number that's coming to my head is 900.
No,
I don't know if that's... No, I'm probably wrong. Let me check.
I was like, that's a lot. Holy crap. But, so that's more of what I think I'm going to run into at some point is I feel like the enemies might get a little tiresome. 80 hours into this, am I going to find that same delight in finding a Korok seed that I did at hour 10?
There are 900.
Yeah, I'm not finding all of those.
See, that to me is another thing that I've criticized other open world games for. Why? Why are there 900 things that you could potentially collect in a game?
I don't think it's to collect them just to collect them, because you can obviously use these to upgrade your inventory slots, which is very, very crucial, especially as you progress. I think they're so well hidden that out of all of the 900, how many of those are you really going to find?
But
that's
what's
more
the
how I'm looking at
point of having somebody program that in, an artist to draw it? Like somebody had to make those things. Somebody chose to place 900 seeds in the game for you to find.
Which, like, 1% of the gaming population who even make that game will find.
Right. So for me, I don't know, and I'm not saying, Andrea, you don't know what to look for, because I'm just saying, I've been playing Zelda for a very long time. So if I see like a circle of rocks, or if I see like a bush or a rock on the ground that looks odd, or if I see a lake, I know to use magnesis and see if there's anything. So I go into an atmosphere in Zelda and I walk. I don't use mounts at all because I want to be able to find and look for everything. So for me, I feel like actually Hyrule is very well populated, and that's probably because I'm finding things, and maybe because I know what to look for. And as far as the 900 seeds go, again, I think it's just that's kind of the wonder and magic of Zelda that I think Breath of the Wild has done so well, is that it makes you feel like this land is alive and thriving, and there's all these secrets to find, and you just got to look kind of hard for them, and you feel like you're in like a majestic land with unlimited possibilities, if that makes sense. It's kind of nerdy, but
it definitely makes sense, and I think that this speaks to why you are such a Zelda super fan, and I'm kind of like a Zelda meh.
Right.
Because to me, the game needs to communicate to you in at least a minimal way, right? Like at some point, the game needs to say, hey, did you think about looking for this? Or, hey, did you find this? Like, whether it be through a hint, whether it be through a conversation you have with an NPC, whether it be through a quest line that then is indicative of other things, like, oh, you do a quest line to find one thing, and it kind of holds your hand through the quest line, and then you'll find those markers throughout the world, and then you have to find those on your own. I think that, I mean, obviously this is two different schools of thoughts, because some people out there listening and watching are going to say, but I like not having that hand holding. I like doing it on my own. I don't want somebody to tell me what to do. And then there's gamers like me who say, I don't have time. I don't have time to figure all this stuff out on my own. I just don't. I have too many other games to play. There's too much else going on. The idea, Britt, that you told me you've put 80 hours into this game. You've only gone to one of the Divine Beasts, and you're not even thinking about the main storyline is like, it's a little mind-boggling to me, because I can't imagine spending hundreds of hours going through a narrative. Now, I know that sounds a little hypocritical given the fact that I've put hundreds of hours into replaying the same strikes in Destiny and playing Paragon, which is like the same map over and over again. But
those are multiplayer experiences which differ every time.
Correct.
Right.
So it's just, yeah, I mean, listen, I'm starting to see why people are raving about the game. That's the bottom line I want to drive home. I'm going to keep with it, and I will check in, not next week because I'm going to need more time, but maybe Steimer and I can do like a Zelda check-in like 3 or 4 weeks from now, or 2 or 3 weeks from now, depending on how much we're able to play, like another 20, 30 hours from now, and say, this is where we're at.
Yeah, and I just want to say as well, like, Zelda Breath of the Wild isn't the kind of game that I can just play, like, day after day after day. I do need to take a few, like, days off from it, because it can get kind of tedious to just wander around and not do a heck of a lot, because the game isn't that story-based. It's more of, like, explore. You're this little peon in this huge atmosphere, in this huge world. Like, go explore, you know? So the 80 hours have been stretched out over a long time, so I totally get that. And it is interesting for me to hear your perspective, because I think it was during our Game of the Year podcast, I said, you know, it's a fantastic Zelda game for me because I've played this franchise ever since I was like 5 or 6, you know, but as someone who is very new to the franchise, I'm curious to know what you think. And I, to be honest, I think if you like the open world, like immersion, you'll love it. But if that's not your jam, you're not a huge Zelda fan, I'm not sure how much you'll like Breath of the Wild. So it'll be interesting for me to hear your feedback.
All right, well, we will check in on Zelda later on, sometime in August, and maybe in early September, depending on how much we get to play. So, ladies, is there anything else you want to talk about? Britt, did you want to talk about Horizon at all?
Yeah, I'll talk about it briefly. So I'm very, very, very...
Well, at least she froze at the beginning of the segment. She's back.
Wait,
you froze for me.
You're frozen.
I'm not frozen. You're frozen.
You were frozen. Brittany was fine for me.
Freezing. Okay, so Horizon. I'm very early into Horizon. Maybe, like I said, not that many hours. And in the beginning, it was honestly kind of hard for me to get into because I had heard so many people talk about the scripting narrative and these characters, and I was a few hours in, and I'm like, okay, I'm waiting to get hooked. But after some major events take place, now I'm like, oh my God, like I'm thinking about this game every day, even though I haven't had the chance to pick it up in like 3 or 4 days. Really excited to see more of it.
You are going to get so hooked by the combat in that game because it starts out good, but it gets great, and then it really ramps up to a level of excellence that I haven't seen in a while. The way that they managed the different types of weapons, the different types of ammunition, and how each of those weapons and ammunition correspond to different machines in the world and other types of enemies. It's so wonderfully done in a way that is so rare to find in games that I'm really excited for you to experience that progression. I think you're really going to enjoy your time.
Me too.
Also, random tip, only because I've seen, I skipped, I'm not sure if you did, Andrea, I skipped straight to purple gear. I like just saved and managed to get the purple gear, which is the top tier stuff. Fairly early on, like not super early, it'll be a little bit. But I just kind of like skipped the middle tier of gear entirely and didn't have really any issues with that. So.
Noted.
Yeah, I spent a little bit of money on the middle tier of gear before I also realized that if you just, if you are a conservative fighter in some combat scenarios, you can do okay with the blue level gear. But yeah, one of the trophies is to get all of the sets of armor and gear for the purple. So I just started buying it all. I was like, wait, why am I wasting my money buying the middle level gear? And I think that's all about people's play style and how they want to approach combat. And I usually am a pretty conservative combat person. I don't go in
Guns blazing
if I'm not powerful enough to. I love going in guns blazing if you are powerful enough. But in a Horizon, there's a lot of machines that will just eat you up if you try to just take them head on without knowing what you're doing. But yeah, no, that's a really good pro tip. And I left the hunting grounds for the absolute last thing I did, but they are a great place to go if you need to farm materials. So if you need to get certain things from certain types of machines to craft ammunition, like for example, if you need like blaze to make fire arrows, the grazers that you get at hunting grounds, you can come across packs of them because they respawn in the hunting grounds much faster than they do in the general world. So if you need to pick up a lot of materials to craft, the hunting grounds are a great place to do that. But I would recommend to go to all the cauldrons as soon as you can, because the sooner that you unlock the ability to overtake the machines versus just outright defeating them, the better.
No,
go when you are level appropriate. Otherwise, you'll regret it.
Well,
it happens.
I mean, not necessarily. You can take the cauldrons pretty slow.
Slow, yeah. But I'm just saying, don't be like, I'm level 10. I'm going to hit up all of them. You would be in for a whirl for.
Well, yeah. But
I'm digging it. I really like Aloy. I think she's I resonate with her a lot. Finally the story's kicking in and it's starting to click and I'm starting to think about it. You know, for the record, I'm like 5 to 7 hours into Horizon and I'm thinking more about the story of Horizon than I am Breath of the Wild. So that's something that I'm really getting from Horizon that I appreciate.
And do all the side quests. As many of them as you can, because they are so rewarding and they'll pay off in the final mission. And that's the thing I will say in the immediate difference between now playing Breath of the Wild and Horizon. The side quests and the characters you meet in Horizon feel more robust. They feel like they have a bigger backstory.
Oh, yeah.
And like they connect to the main storyline in a really meaningful way, and they're all really, really well done. So enjoy your time. You're going to love it. You're going to get so into the story. Gets really good. It gets real good.
I'm excited for you.
Yay.
Okay, so this is going to wrap up our hands-on segment for this week. When we come back, it's the grab bag off topic. What's it going to be? Nobody knows. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. This is the What's Good Games podcast, and now we are into our grab bag time of the show. And this week, we kind of were struggling to agree on what to talk about, and Steimer brought up a really fun idea of, like, she said, since I was just traveling recently and Britt was traveling recently, and summer is just all around a time that all of us out there travel. If you are in the Southern Hemisphere, I'm sorry, it's winter where you are. But for us here up north, we all travel. We go on vacations. We're on summer break if you're in school. And that means you need to figure out, how do I game when I travel? And we all kind of have different systems. So Britt recently chronicled a little issue she had during one of her recent travels where she was at a property that you were renting. So it wasn't a hotel. It was like an Airbnb or something.
It was a townhome. You can call it a townhome.
Was it Airbnb or something?
No. It's a hotel, but they own some townhomes, so they rent them out as if they were a hotel room.
Okay, I've been to a hotel like that before. And you couldn't play your SNES, which, by the way, the fact that you brought your SNES on your trip with you was amazing, because what TVs even have component cable jacks anymore?
You'd be surprised.
It was broke on the TV.
Yeah.
So what happened? Tell us the story.
Okay, so one of my favorite ways to relax and unwind and just kind of disconnect is to find a hotel, find a small town somewhere near me, go bring some video games, and just hunker down, play games, grab dinner, just kind of like do the thing, eat good food, whatever. And this is something Jason and I have been doing the entirety of our relationship, and it's quickly become, like I said, one of our favorite things to do. So last week we were like, hey, let's go to Leavenworth, which is this really cute Bavarian-themed town in eastern Washington. Christine, have you ever been there?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so you can vouch for its cuteness.
It's adorable.
Really cute.
That was not sarcastic. That was legitimate. It's adorable.
Cute towns.
And the Secret of Evermore carts had just come in before we left, and we generally will bring like Breath of the Wild. Before in the past, we've brought Game Boy games on the Super Game Boy. We've brought all sorts of things. And so we've been playing Breath of the Wild on vacation, but the Secret of Evermore cartridge came in, and we're like, this could be really fun. So off we go to Leavenworth. There's like a 4-hour drive, Super Nintendo in tow, cartridge in tow, 2 SNES controllers. We're set. So we get to the room around like 10 o'clock or so. And we have the component cables and everything, and we plug it into the TV, and I was getting this stupid like blue screen of death error, except for it was just a blue screen. There was no text on it. And sometimes it would like kind of glitch and work, and sometimes it wouldn't. So we were trying all the tricks, blowing on the cartridge, blowing inside the Super Nintendo, doing all of the old school things. And none of that worked. So we're like, shit, it must be the TV. What would a reasonable person do? And then I found that there was a store about 30 miles away that was open 24 hours.
Wait,
and
30 miles?
That's very far.
That's
20 miles. Sorry,
That's not
20 miles.
close.
One does what one must. I've been known to do things like this. I actually brought my 55-inch TV to a lodge a couple years ago because they didn't have TVs, and I wanted to play Halo.
Actually, I think I remember this.
Yeah, it was great.
Doing that.
It was fantastic. It was glorious. So this isn't out of the ordinary. This is something I'm known to do. So yeah, we hopped in the car and we drove. It was about 20 miles, 30-minute drive. I don't remember how long. And we drove. We bought a cheap little $175 like 32-inch TV. Bought an HDMI component adapter in case there were any other issues. Brought it back to good old Leavenworth and hunkered down. And after a few blows into the cartridge, we were able to play. And now we have an extra TV.
I love your tenacity, because any other human would have been like, I guess this plan didn't work out. Or they would have called the hotel and been like,
that's what I told her to do. So she posted about this online, and I said, did you ask the hotel to just give you a different television? And she's like, well, no, we're like in this townhouse thing.
They were closed.
Like, but you thought it was less inconvenient to drive 60 miles round trip?
So, okay. So the hotel lobby was closed. Otherwise, I would have done that.
Small town, that makes sense.
Maybe not. I still might have driven there. Yeah, it worked in the end, and that's my story.
That's amazing.
That's okay. I have to say, I'm kind of inspired by this idea that you and Jason take these little side trips to nearby places to just like veg in a hotel or an Airbnb or whatever, and then you like go out and have dinner or whatever, and then you go back to your room and you're like, we're just gonna have like a gaming marathon. It's kind of like a modified staycation, because you're not technically staying at your house, you're staying somewhere else, but you're not too far away. I kind of like that. Maybe I'll pitch this to John. Something we could
do it. And we get a place with a kitchen. You bake cookies. You drink your whiskey or your Coke, and it's glorious. It's really good. I would highly suggest.
because you and Jason don't just drive travel. You guys do fly places. So what do you tend to do in those situations?
Same thing.
What? You can't bring a TV with you.
No. But, generally we'll bring something with an HDMI because you're more likely to find TVs with HDMI. The place in Leavenworth was kind of old, so they had component and it worked out, except for the component didn't work. But yeah, we've brought Super Nintendos, we've brought Xboxes, PlayStations, we bring our consoles essentially everywhere we go. We have a few Retrons that can play the older games like Game Boy and Genesis and Super Nintendo and NES. That's been really helpful too.
You guys are super intense. I'm not.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not on that level.
It's so fun. Like Andrea said, it's not quite a staycation, but it definitely is it's just fun. You just feel like you're I don't know. When you're younger and you got to go in a hotel room and it was kind of exciting. Maybe just me.
No, absolutely.
Yeah,
We all remember that moment.
Jumping on the bed.
Yeah, exactly. But you're in another house and you get to bake cookies and drink alcohol. It's fantastic.
Ooh.
No, I think that's awesome. Generally, when I travel, so whenever John and I travel to cons together, and we go to conventions together quite frequently, we'll generally bring the PS4 Slim. Thank goodness they made the Slim, because not that the PS4 is super bulky, but the Slim takes up much less space in the rollerboard, because you can't check the console. You have to carry it on board. And there's been several times where we've had to unpack for security, and the security guards or the TSA agents are like, "Oh yeah, PlayStation," and you fist bump it out, and then they send you on your way.
Yep.
But there was one time when we brought a console to, I believe it was the PlayStation Experience in Anaheim, and I was deep into an obsession, which I still am, with Paragon, which is the free-to-play MOBA that Epic Games makes, and it's available on PC and on PlayStation 4. And I knew that some of the Paragon team was going to be at PlayStation Experience, so we had talked about it in advance about how it would be fun if we could do a meetup where we could invite other people to come and play Paragon, and we would just set up our consoles, because I have a games screen. So that's games, GAEMS. So the M and the E are reversed, and it's a USB screen. It's a little monitor that you plug in to the PlayStation. It works spectacularly. I love this thing. They're incredibly hard to buy because they're almost always out of stock everywhere. But if you ever get your hands on one, they're excellent. They're super lightweight, and you can put the PlayStation Slim and the game screen in a backpack pretty easily, and then you're all set and ready to go. You don't need a TV. You don't have this monitor problem that you ran into. So if you have never tried using it before, and they've never paid me to say this, by the way. This isn't a paid endorsement. I just really love this product because I use it a lot.
That's great to hear. I had those for several years, but I've never pulled the trigger. So it sounds like you would recommend it.
Absolutely, 100% recommend. And they work with anything that can take an HDMI. So if your computer has an HDMI plug into it, you could watch content from your computer on this external screen if you wanted to. Not that you would need to, because generally, actually, I have one right here. So if you're watching it on video, it comes in this little carrying case. Now, this wasn't what I intended to do with this segment, but so this is the screen. So it's a good size, as you can see.
That's decent.
And it's super, super light. And it has speakers. So this is the new one. The original model didn't have as good as speakers. And so you can actually use this without a headset if you want. You could just use the audio from this. But there's just buttons for the volume here, and on the back is where you plug in via HDMI. And they also have a headphone jack if you want to play with headphones. If you're like me and you're playing at your in-laws' house and you don't want anyone to hear you playing Destiny or Paragon. And of course, it's USB powered, so it just plugs directly into the console. It's a great product. But so to get to the story, I met up with Nick Chester from Epic Games, who is their publicist. And we were in the lobby of the Marriott, which is right next to the Anaheim Convention Center, using the hotel, crappy Wi-Fi. But we were able to connect in fast enough. So he had his laptop, because if you're a portable gamer, everyone's like, hey, join the PC Master Race, just get a gaming laptop, right? But instead, I bring my console everywhere. So I set up my console with my game screen, and I had my controller, and I'm all plugged in, and I'm connected to the hotel Wi-Fi. He's got his, like Origin laptop, and he's like set up and ready to go. And we get into a game together, and then Andrew Reiner from Game Informer walks over and sees us, and he's like, wow, this is the nerdiest thing I've seen all weekend. Are you guys really playing a video game in the hotel lobby bar right now? We're like, hell yeah, man. Where's your console? Bring it down. He's like, no, I didn't bring my console. But it's a really fun experience, and that's the kind of camaraderie that really brings our community together. Why we're all gamers is because we have that shared passion and that shared love for this medium that really just doesn't exist anywhere else. I mean, you're not going to find people like in a hotel lobby like having a shared viewing session of a television show. Like,
that's a good point. No, you wouldn't do that.
But yeah, it was a fun experience for me, and I highly recommend if you guys ever think twice about traveling with your console, if you're going somewhere, maybe bring it. Maybe just do it.
I find it interesting that both of you are people who would travel with their consoles, because I'm the opposite. And if anything is the slightest bit inconvenient for me, I will not do it. So for instance, even I have a gaming laptop. I have like a 15-inch Origin. It's too big. It's too big. Like for me, I'm like, I don't even want to bring that thing with me anywhere, because like, I don't know why. There's just some like a mental block where I'm like, it's going to be heavy. It's going to be inconvenient. I'm going to have to break this thing out at security. I don't want to do that. Like, I want to just like glide through this airport as quickly as possible.
Not if you have TSA pre-check, you leave it in your bag.
Exactly.
I am pre-check. But even still, like, I don't think I would ever be convinced to bring a console with me when I travel anywhere. But that's why I was so excited about the Switch. Because it was like, it's somewhat, and I also used to travel before the Switch came out. Obviously, I've traveled a lot with my Vita. The touchscreen's super wonky on it now, and it doesn't really work anymore, which makes me sad. But I used to play a lot of like older JRPGs on my Vita when I was playing, and that's how I played Lunar Silver Star Harmony and fell in love with it. And so like that's more up my alley. Maybe that's because when I was a kid, my parents literally just gave us Game Boys and was like, go, be free. Like, you
yes,
this is how you live. This is how you game. You game with this tiny thing and you take it with you everywhere. So now anything bigger than that just seems like too much for me to handle. So like anything bigger than that Switch would not do. And I even went through
so even your Vita, you didn't bring that places?
No, I did. Before the Switch, I took the Vita with me everywhere, then it died. The Vita's
that's bringing games
defunct.
with you.
Sure. No. Yeah. I'm saying anything like a console, like anything
massive.
Anything bigger than a bread box will not
than a 3DS. It's not coming with you.
Will not come with me on the plane. And for even the Switch, it had like a little bit of an inconvenience because I realized, the battery on this is not going to last me throughout a long flight. It's fine when I go to and from San Francisco. That's cool. But
yeah, well, and the Switch, like when it's in the case and you have like the Joy-Con holder and you have the cables, like it's not a small thing. It's not like carrying a 3DS. It really isn't.
Yeah, it's not like a Vita. It's not like a 3DS. It's a bit more heft to it, but I'm okay with that. That's like, again, that's pretty much my limit. Switch is my limit for things that I will bring with me on an airplane. But I even went through and like bought a specific power brick for the Switch and bought like a cable so that I knew if I was on a long flight and this thing died, like I would be able to keep playing it. So I'm going to Boston in August for like a family trip thing. And I'm like, that's where that's going to get busted out because I don't think this thing will last 6 hours on a plane.
It will if you're plugged in. I flew from Rome to New York playing the Switch.
Did you use you mean an external power cable, or did they have a plug on the plane?
No, I had to I brought my USB-C cable with me, and then I plugged that in to the power on the plane. But you have to bring like the brick that goes into the jack, because not all planes have a USB plug-in. They have like a traditional power plug. And so you have to like have like the little brick that the USB goes into.
Since I don't even know what kind of a explain them like what it's going to have. I bought a power brick of its own, like
an external power battery.
External battery is the correct term.
The only thing about those that I kind of noticed is that those bricks work very slowly when you're actively using the device. If the switch is just in your bag and connected to the power brick, it'll draw power pretty quickly. But I have, just for my and obviously all of these batteries are different, but I noticed that it is a trickle. Like you barely maintain.
I mean, I have not used or tried it yet. I did search specifically for a external battery pack for this
just make
Switch.
sure you bring a plug-in brick just in case. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'll bring one for sure. So I'm not like stuck. And then even in Boston, going, God, I can't charge this stupid thing. Wow.
Stuck with my family.
Yeah, exactly. Because none of them have an external power cable lying around for this Switch.
Well, you can't ask them for it because then they'll be like, "Oh, Christine, why did you bring your video game thing? We're all hanging out here having family time."
That's
and
exactly what they would say. How dare you use my name?
Anyway, we got kind of down a rabbit hole there. Apologies to people listening. Bottom line, Steimer.
Yeah.
Must be convenient to game on the go. Brittany will go to extreme lengths no matter how inconvenient to game on the go. Me, I'm kind of like Goldilocks. I'm in the middle. I'm like, I'll suffer a little bit of inconvenience, but I won't go to extremes. Just a little bit. Just the right amount of inconvenience.
Exactly.
Did you have any other travels, gaming stories that you would like to share, ladies?
Trying to think, but I don't.
Not besides the time that I briefly mentioned where I brought my 55-inch TV to a lodge and I had to carry it through the hotel lobby and then I hooked it up so I could play Halo. That was kind of the other story. Yeah.
But did the hotel not have a TV? Is that why you brought it?
No. Yeah. It was more one of those like adult only like lodges where it was just like, you know, adults only. Like no children allowed. And they didn't have TVs because they want you to take in the atmosphere and Mother Nature.
Because they want you to bang.
Yeah, that too probably. There were chocolates in the room when we got there. But no, so yeah, we hauled this big old 55-inch an Xbox and it was great. It was a good time.
I wish I could see the look on the people's faces as you haul that television into your room.
Yeah,
like, I'm gonna watch so much porn, you guys.
I know. I was actually I'm wondering if they thought you were going to watch porn.
Oh no. Here's a travel tip: always call ahead and make sure that they have the TV you need. FYI. Everyone thinks we're like, okay, how big is the TV? Does it have component? Does it have HDMI? And they're like, wow.
Well, because there are some hotels that have perfectly functional televisions, but they lock box the HDMI ports so you can't plug anything in. I don't know why they do that. Probably because they want you to buy the movies and the entertainment from the like in-hotel system instead of bringing your own device and plugging it into the TV. But shame on you, hotels. Don't do that.
How dare you?
I'm paying you a premium to use your shitty TV. Let me plug in my console.
Oh, one more travel story. I brought my Xbox 360 and Resident Evil 5 to Mexico, Puerto Vallarta, which turned out to be really good because I got E. coli there and I was bedridden.
No.
I remember this too.
Montezuma's revenge.
I was hospitalized. It was insane. But before I was hospitalized, I was able to lay in bed in Mexico and play Resident Evil 5. And it was great.
Did you bring the console to the hospital?
No. But my nurse liked Zelda, so that kind of counts for something.
Totally.
We spoke in Spanish about Zelda. It was fantastic. But anyway, that's it.
Well, that's an intense story to leave on.
Teasing. I'm alive. I made it.
Good.
I made it.
Well, Britt, we are so glad because we love having you as part of What's Good Games. Well, ladies, this has been great. We've missed Alexa Ray. She will be back next week, as I've mentioned. Another thank you to everyone who supports us on patreon.com/whatsgoodgames. Don't forget, next week we'll all be here in the Bay. We'll be doing our Patreon exclusive live streams. Steimer will be making an update post about that very soon. If you want to get in on that, you can go ahead and put your pledge in on our Patreon. And if you guys haven't yet subscribed to us on YouTube, that's youtube.com/what'sgoodgames. And of course, as I mentioned at the top of the podcast, if you've made it this far, thank you so much. If you're listening on iTunes or Google Play and you have yet to rate us or leave us a review or subscribe on those services, it would greatly help us out and we would appreciate it a lot. So, Britt, where can the folks find you and what you're doing over on Blonde Nerd?
Everywhere at Blonde Nerd. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Branding 101.
And .com.
And blondnerd.com. Yeah.
Of course.
There's that.
Steimer?
I tried branding, Britt. Some man took my name on Instagram.
Someone has my name on Instagram too.
He hasn't used it in 5 years, but I can't seem to get this stupid username back. So I'm Steimer almost everywhere, except for Instagram, where I'm K Steimer.
And I'm at Andrea Renee almost everywhere. We're on Instagram. I'm Andrea Renee _ at the end. Because why not? I will also be at San Diego Comic-Con. So you're listening to this on Friday morning. If you're in San Diego listening to this, maybe on your way to San Diego, I am honored to be hosting the Life is Strange Before the Storm panel with Square Enix at 6:30 p.m. on Friday, July 21st. And the details on that will be on my Twitter. You could also look it up on the Comic-Con website. I'll also be doing a guest appearance on the Marvel Gaming Show. More details on that soon. But if you guys are around and you want to say hi, I'll try to stop by. I'll be floating around the con. Hit me up on Twitter. Let me know, at Andrea Renee. And again, be on the lookout. We have PAX West plans in the works. It's going to be very exciting. So that's it for this week. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. We will see you next week. Have a great weekend.
Bye.